I'm here today to give you the short answer why I believe and know deeply within my heart Bitcoin is the smartest asset you could hold for you, your family, your children, and why it really should replace everything in your portfolio. And I know you probably think this is crazy, but hang with me here because I want to share some very objective reasons as to why. So let's start with this. Money's broken. If you're in your 20s or 30s like me, you have been through 2008 and now we're experiencing this crisis now where we've been through some fast monetary expansion. I think it was 800 billion we printed in 2008. Now we printed 2 trillion or so, whatever it was in the last 2 years. So in the last 2 years, we've increased the money supply by about 40 to 50%, which is massive. So money is not scarce. There's a saying that the cost of a good goes to the nominal cost to produce it. So if we can print money out of thin air, it costs $0 to make it. It's easy to make, right? But a good, like an actual car or any other real actual good that requires energy and work, the cost of that will go up. Why? Because now we have nearly unlimited money chasing a scarce or finite amount of goods. That's why we see home prices go up and any and every collectible under the sun. You might be wondering why the price of everything goes up. It's because unlimited money is chasing scarce goods. Now, when it comes to the stock market, which I love the stock market. If you've ever worked with me or known me, like I believe or have believed in the past deeply in savings, investing, 401k. My father taught me all of this stuff. And one of the things that I found fascinating was when you look at the gains that have happened in the stock market, nearly 80+% of all the growth came from the FANG stocks, the tech stocks, and the NASDAQ. If you remove that, the stock market's basically flat. And majority of the growth in the stock market has specifically grown alongside M2, meaning the money supply. So most of the growth is coming from the printing of money. So all this really means for us young folks is we're losing purchasing power. While we're going up nominally, like we see the number going up, we're not actually gaining any savings. We're not really building our purchasing power. And I think if you are a younger person, like sub the age of 40, you know this and you feel this. Like we literally feel it. So when it comes to why Bitcoin, there's a few things. Number one, there's a fixed cap and total supply of 21 million. It's fully decentralized. It's fully open source. No one can change the code. It's very important. You can run your own version of Bitcoin at home on your computer and verify these facts. So beyond the 21 million cap, the other piece is the issuance schedule. Every 4 years, there's something known as the halving. Next year, in April, we have the 2024 halving where the supply of Bitcoin is dropping from 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes to 3.175, whatever it is. There's a predetermined schedule of issuance that is locked in and cannot be changed, so we know the inflation supply. And come next year, the stock to flow of Bitcoin will be lower than that of gold, meaning there's a total stock, a total amount available, and there's a flow that moves into the market, meaning this is the new amount you can expect to come into the market. Even gold, which is supposedly a hedge against inflation, is easily manipulated, and it's easy to create more. It's actually easier to create more gold than Bitcoin. Why? Let's talk about it really quickly. Gold miners, when the price of gold goes up, their incentive is to go find more of it as fast as possible because when they mine it, they can sell it. Therefore, that puts selling pressure in the market and forces the price back down. When the price goes down, miners stop seeking out gold because it is therefore not profitable anymore to get gold. Beyond that, there's also paper markets and derivative markets where you can trade paper versions of gold and boost the price up or suppress it. And if you talk to any gold bug, they'll say this has been going on since the late 70s and 80s. And the reason is because gold is not a bearer asset, meaning you cannot, or a bank cannot always hold and bear and own their own gold. You know how you say bear arms? That's because you're holding your own gun. Same with gold. You can't really, it's not a bearer asset. Typically, when you have large sums of gold, especially in other countries, you have a larger country or institution hold it for you. You do not own it. You are not your own custodian. You are giving custodianship to someone else to hold on your behalf. Therefore, it can be heavily manipulated. Bitcoin, on the other hand, you can have your own private keys, which is 12 to 24 words, which secures your Bitcoin. You can hold anywhere from $1 to $1 billion worth of Bitcoin on a hardware device. You can hold trillions. When the price goes up in dollars, you can hold trillions of dollars of Bitcoin. So you can be your own custodian with Bitcoin. One thing about Bitcoin too is it can be fractionalized. Just like a dollar has 100 pennies, one Bitcoin has 100 million satoshis, meaning you can break it into fractions. You can buy a small amount. You don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. There's this belief with certain people that, oh, I don't have enough money for Bitcoin. You actually have more money for Bitcoin than practically anything else in this world because it's so divisible. It's easy to get a fraction of a Bitcoin. And what's really interesting is if you break Bitcoin in the total supply to an equal amount of every person on Earth, each person has about 270,000 satoshis. Now remember, there's 100 million satoshis per Bitcoin. Each person, if equally distributed, would have around 270,000 satoshis. So, right now, a million satoshis is like $350. So a quarter of that, would be around 70, 80, 90, 100 bucks, just to make math simple. Now, beyond this, Bitcoin is the money of the internet. What do I mean by this? Bitcoin allows you to make digital payments online. Back in the day, there was an error on the internet. You've probably seen like 404 errors where you hit a dead web page and it says 404 error. There was a 402 error back in the day for failed digital payments. It's never really been used because we did not have a form of money that could be used digitally. Well, now we have Bitcoin, and there's a protocol called L402 that allows for APIs to pay other APIs and for AI agents to pay other AIs. So now resources and hardware on the internet and they can pay each other autonomously. So one thing that's really interesting about the internet, we think we're zombies and slaves to our computer. 83% of the internet are API calls, meaning all of the behind the scenes connectivity and tools that just fire and function. 83% of the entire internet is API calls and just computers talking to each other. So imagine when every computer in the world can actually just communicate and ping and go back and forth. This is totally possible right now, and the protocol is live. At Voltage, the company I work at, we have the ability for users to run LND, which is a Lightning implementation, and they can deploy these solutions at scale. So all this being said, another thing, Bitcoin mining is transforming how energy functions and how societies operate. So number one, in order to mine Bitcoin, you need two simple things, really three. One, you need hardware to mine. Two, you need energy. And Bitcoin miners chase down the cheapest energy as possible because that is the biggest variable cost when mining. Hardware might be $800 or $1,000 for, the chips. Energy can be wildly expensive or nearly free cost. So you want cheap energy, as every miner actively seeks out. And you need internet. Internet's becoming more available than ever. With Starlink, there's actually companies in Africa who are taking Bitcoin miners to where random waterfalls are in the middle of nowhere where there's absolutely no infrastructure. And they're connecting the miners to the waterfall for energy, and they're using Starlink internet so that they can now mine for Bitcoin. And now they're getting their own form of capital in the middle of nowhere in Africa, and they're able to leverage that to build new communities and new forms of society where never before possible. Why is this meaningful? Well, other countries across the globe, they typically take out loans from the World Bank or from programs of the World Economic Forum, and they have to give up their scarce world resources, like whether it be agriculture or oil and gas or metals, whatever it may be, in order to get high interest rate loans so that they can build a society. They end up losing doing that. Well, now they can mine Bitcoin and do it with free energy that's abundant in their land and Starlink internet. This is happening today. There's companies doing it. Another thing, a country called El Salvador, about 2 years ago, they were saying, hey, we are going to mine Bitcoin with our volcano, their free energy. And they've since done it, and they've launched bonds, which investors can invest in and earn an amount of yield. And what's really fascinating, over this last few weeks, American bonds have been downgraded, and El Salvadorian bonds have been rated upward. And the El Salvadorian bonds have yielded over 65% this last year. Yeah, you heard that right. One of the only productive and valuable bonds in the entire world is the El Salvadorian bond. So what does all of this mean? To bring it back, why Bitcoin? Bitcoin's more than money. There's a lot that Bitcoin is doing to not only give people sovereignty and freedom and money whenever every other form of capital and money is being inflated away. One funny fact we didn't even talk about, every fiat currency ever created has failed. Most of them, actually nearly everyone, fails within 25 years. You can Google it. Due to inflation, the incentive is to always print money. Bitcoin is meaningful because it allows people to hold their own money. They can be their own custodian. You can send it anywhere in the world. No one can censor you. There's a fixed supply. It's transforming energy grids. Game theory incentivizes countries to have a strategy for it. And we're seeing corporations adopt it. Tesla, Square, Cash App, MicroStrategy, obviously. And now we have the biggest asset managers in the world, like BlackRock, WisdomTree, Fidelity. All of them are filing for a Bitcoin ETF. Some of you won't be convinced now, but I think for some of you, this is going to spark an interest to actually start thinking critically. Just getting back to basics. Why is this thing never going away? Why does it keep living when people say it's dead? This is groundbreaking technology most people don't slow down to think about. And most people in America don't have to think about it. We are spoiled and rich. If you're in America at all watching this, you're filthy rich compared to the rest of the world, even if you feel poor and you can't afford certain things. But we have the luxury of being wildly rich compared to the rest of the world. In other parts of the world where inflation and hyperinflation is real every day of their life, they're turning to either the dollar, which inflates at a slower rate, but still failing, and we are feeling it in America, or they're turning to Bitcoin. A lot of countries are using Bitcoin, and we're seeing it every day. And I'm making this video basically to help you as an American and someone in my network to buy Bitcoin, to hold it, to take money out of all of these broken assets that are inflated by dollars, and to save in money, and to use this technology that is going to give you more autonomy, more just equity. You have agency and you have control over your future. Versus, using dollars, you're basically funding war, the bombing and murdering of children, and you're funding the war machine, which is in America. And I know a lot of you don't have the heart to do that, but at the end of the day, that's what we do when we use the dollar. And, when you look at Bitcoin on a long time horizon, it's just up and to the right. Yeah, I get it's volatile, but you don't need to be putting more money into something than you can afford to lose. So what's the TLDR of this video? It's abundantly clear Bitcoin's here to stay. If you just disagree, you're naive, and you should probably start putting small amounts into it. A few bucks every couple weeks, $100 a month. I don't know. You decide your own fate, but do some research, be intentional. Love yourself, love your family, and get some Bitcoin. Get off holding zero, because whether or not you like to admit it, you're gonna get it at the price you deserve. Bye.